Welcome to episode 379. Eric Schmidt, from leading Google to leading the US in AI, 10 lessons. This is an outline of episode 379, lesson 1 to lesson 5. This is an outline of episode 379, lesson 6 to lesson 10. Lesson number 1. He's the second richest non-founder self-made billionaire in the world. Under the leadership of Eric Schmidt, Google grew from 150 to 50,000 employees in 10 years. Now, the honor of the richest non-founder billionaire goes to Steve Balmer, who was the CEO of Microsoft from 2000 to 2014, or 14 years. Lesson number 2, how to get along with two founders.
The emotional technology, if you will, to deal with founders who started the thing, incubated the thing, and you come in and be the CEO. How do you balance those two?
The most important thing to remember, it's their company, not yours. If you think you were brought in to be the CEO, to run the company, to tell them what to do, you've misread the situation. They are the owners, they are the founders, you're there to get their vision to happen, which means you have to constantly be talking about what their vision is. If they think that you're implementing their vision, then they'll put up with you and put up with all the processes and all that kind of stuff. If they think you're blocking their vision, you're toast.
Lesson number 3, from university culture to business culture.
And it emerged because people still thought they were in graduate school, even though they weren't. You know, they didn't understand that the company was different from university. And so many of the answers to this question have to do with, if you take an academic culture and you try to apply it to a business, you sort of get these outcomes. So it's much simpler than it appears. Now, the porousness is a characteristic of high-performing organizations today, because smart people want to work with other smart people and they want to be informed. And I think everybody here understands that the model of governance has gone from hierarchical to more sort of empowered. The problem is that a whole generation of managers don't actually want to empower anybody.
Lesson number 4. Google is a product company. How to look for product leaders.
What we figured out was that in a product-based business, which is what Google is, there are leaders who are uniquely talented to lead these product groups. And over again, over years and years, we would say that the core problem we have is we need a particular kind of person. Let me describe that. It's a person who's pretty technical, knows how to ship products, understands the market, and understands the strategy. All the people who didn't fit that were put in secondary roles. But if you could find somebody who really wanted to do Chrome or really wanted to do Android, right, we would say, go for it. But you'd check on them. But they would be able to say, this is the strategy, these are the competitors, this is the technological opportunity, and they see where they're going and they can tell you, and they're going to work for you doing it whether you ask them or not. They're so committed to doing it. It's that product vision and the ability to implement it that is the differentiation.
So this
Lesson number 5. He's one of the first to understand the importance of privacy on the internet.
The language itself is a derivative of C++. We went through C++ and we articulated all the things that were in there that we didn't like, that we thought would allow security problems of one kind or another. We run a virus scan. What happens is the Java program comes in and we do a byte scan. We also then run the Java program in its own interpreted space. We don't let the Java program do many of the classic virus kinds of behaviors.
Lesson number 6. He's one of the originator of the Genius Hours.
Manifests that you can recall come from just that kind of incubation?
Virtually all of the interesting apps now came from a combination of an acquisition and a 20% time. If you look at Maps, if you look at Google Earth, if you look at Chrome and Android, all of them came from somebody trying something, identifying something, and then we would say, we have all these 20% timers, but we need a real group. Right. And the fastest way to do that was to create a real group or buy a company.
Lesson number 7. Fast iteration is the key to success.
We didn't have an 18-month strategy. We just kept iterating. So what I learned from this is that fast iteration is the key. The most important thing to do is every week, a new product, a new idea, just keep pushing. You'd be amazed how much progress you make in 3 months or 6 months.
Lesson number 8. How to look for talents.
The easiest way to start looking for talent is decide if you'd like to talk to them. Does somebody who you meet tell you something new In other words, if you just know everything and they don't sell you anything interesting, why do you want to work with them? You want to work with people who are curious, who bring something new to the party, they're creative, and that's a good screen, and that'll work pretty much everywhere.
Lesson number 9, simple strategy of what the world's going to look like in 5
a general
years.
question for all businesses. If you were coaching a business class or a company, how does a company remain nimble today? What does it have to do to remain nimble?
My problem with most strategy conversations is that they're always inward out. You know, we establish, well, first, we're the best in the world, because everybody thinks that, which can't possibly be true. And second, we see that all of our products are going to be successful, and therefore we'll be very successful in the future. And that's usually how strategy is done in businesses. I prefer a completely different approach. Work very, very, very hard to figure out what the world's going to look like in 5 years. What will people be doing? What will your customers want? Where will costs will be? In our case, what will networks look like? How important will phones be? What will the apps look like? What services? And spend an awful lot of time on that. And then take a look at your offerings. What are the strongest ones? Which are the ones that are going to iterate quickly? You're probably going to do fine there. You understand those businesses. What about these others? If you think about in the media business, there are media businesses that are growing very well and others that are in great trouble. This was completely predicted 5 years ago.
Lesson number 10, future of AI in China and America's response.
I want to turn to China for a second. Some of the top AI companies in the world are in China.
So I don't know if you all saw, but a month ago, China actually announced its AI strategy. And I actually read it. And it's pretty simple. By 2020, they will have caught up. By 2025, they will be better than us. And by 2030, they will dominate the industries of AI. Okay, now just stop for a sec. The government said that. Weren't we the ones in charge of AI dominance here in our country? Weren't we the ones that invented this stuff? Weren't we the ones that were going to go exploit the benefits of all this technology for betterment and American exceptionalism in our own arrogant view? Trust me, these Chinese people are good, right? But to me, the more interesting thing about going there was to see that all of the top computer science people from China had shown up. And my conclusion was they are going to use this technology. They're going to use it for both commercial as well as military objectives, with all sorts of implications over that period. But we know what they're doing. They have announced their strategy. Okay? So you're crazy to treat them as somehow second-class citizens. I think a national focus on investing, starting with, and so the specifics are pretty straightforward. Investing in research. America is the country that leads in these areas. There's every reason to think that we can continue that leadership.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and leave your questions and comments below. Wishing everyone peace and prosperity.